Another Atlantic storm on the way, forecasted to strike the Caribbean on today's Tropical Weather Bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for August 10th. Debby is accelerating off towards the northeast now as an extratropical cyclone about to enter Canada. We also have, of course, Tropical Storm Maria, which has actually weakened a little bit unexpectedly as it heads towards Japan, still nearly at typhoon strength, and of course other areas of interest on the way in more than one place as well. Day 71 of Atlantic hurricane season, Debby there moving off to the northeast. Still over part of New York State, but entering Atlantic Canada right now. 70% chance that we've marked now as well over the central Atlantic. Looks like it will become a substantial tropical cyclone. Emilia, its remnants still continuing out into the eastern Pacific. Another area of interest behind it. Doesn't look like it will develop anymore. Just a 10% chance on day 88 of hurricane season. Just the one hurricane so far. In the western Pacific, well, it's a bit of a mess now. Maria there, getting quite close to Japan. Some of its clouds reaching the coast there. And 3 medium chances underneath it. It's going to be a bit of a mess here. A gyric system that will be producing little spinny things left, right and centre. All medium chances of development. No areas of interest in the North Indian Ocean. There's a little bit of cloud cover there. Some storms over southern India, but not too much else to talk about. But what might be a surprise to many is the Southwest Indian Ocean. Now we're giving a 30% chance of development for a very impressive, potentially off-season storm there in the Southwest Indian Ocean. No sign of it just yet, but the models are starting to get on board. 3 models now supporting at least something happening down there. Here's Maria, currently 462 kilometers from Choshi, 524 from Chiba, 555 from Tokyo, 583 from Sendai, and 811 from Nagoya further west. Well, the storm was an 80-mile-per-hour typhoon yesterday and into last night, but this morning local time as we watch it, it has weakened quite a bit. JTWC only estimating that it had 50-mile-per-hour winds this morning. Well, we don't think so. It looks quite a bit stronger than that. We're still holding on to 70. Satellite imagery of Debby, and you can clearly see what's left of it there if it does indeed have any kind of circulation, just moving into the Canadian region now, just off the northern part of New York State, near the border with Vermont and New Hampshire. And then continuing northeastwards is going to be this storm's motion now. It is actually strengthening a little bit. Pressure's gone down to 997 millibars, obviously non-tropical, so it's not going to be restrained by the things that tropical storms are restrained by. It is now obviously increasing in forward motion as well, so that will be increasing those wind speeds on the eastern side, and it should get back to storm force later on in the day as it sweeps through Atlantic Canada, out probably through the northern part of Newfoundland, probably into the North Atlantic Ocean over the next few days. Look at all that rain though on that radar imagery, still showing huge amounts on that north and western side. There's Emilia moving out of shot now and away from everyone's thoughts, I think. Still blowing up a little bit of convection actually near the center, but it is by all estimates a remnant low. So here's Maria, and that little core again has started to wrap up quite a bit. It did look much worse than this earlier, to be fair, but right now it has really shown a resurgence there near the center, an eye feature once again. So borderline typhoon, I would estimate from this, but a big area around it as well. You could almost say concentric eye walls if the one around it was better organized, but not really. But certainly a big band on that western side. It was struggling with wind shear yesterday and last night, and that is still potentially an issue for it, but it does look like it's getting more protected there with that band off to its west, and it is going to be a storm with quite a low pressure for its intensity, into the 970s still at this point, and we expect a landfall in the lower 970s in eastern Japan, a rare landfall for eastern Honshu. Here's the other system. 91W, one of the ones that is active at the moment, but there are a few others that we're expecting to start to see popping up out there in the open Western Pacific as they approach perhaps the Ogasawara Islands. East coast of the Atlantic, obviously Debby, a big feature of that, moving off towards the top of the picture. Further south, it is leaving behind quite a bit of precipitation along the US East Coast and across the Caribbean as well. Quite disturbed weather over western Cuba, over the Yucatan Peninsula, and a few little storms across Central America, and one or two storms in Jamaica and Haiti too. Off the west coast of Africa, it looks like this, so one or two little waves there. Obviously on the left hand side, that little wave will be that 70% chance. I think by this time tomorrow we'll probably see it much better. Eastern Pacific, that little system there south of eastern Mexico, that's what we've given that 10% chance to. It did look better earlier. It looks like it's past its peak. And there, of course, is what's left of Emilia on the left-hand side. Quite a large system, actually. Of course, it was scuppered, really, after it usurped Fabio the other day. Here's a look at Japan, and of course Maria entering that frame. Some cloud cover over eastern Japan now, and this is a look over the rest of the Western Pacific around the Philippine Sea region. You can already see a few storms starting to blow up there along a line from Taiwan eastwards. That will be the starting point for these potential systems. Eastern India, a few thunderstorms blowing up there over the Andhra Pradesh and the area to the south of Tamil Nadu, and moving out towards the Arabian Sea, one or two little bursts of convection still entering the region from western India. Sea surface temperatures still looking quite decent in the eastern Pacific. Of course, the hot spots off the coast of Mexico up to 30 degrees Celsius and extending out to sea a little bit further. They are gradually rising. Gulf of Mexico extremely warm, up to 32 degrees off Louisiana. Gulf Stream looking decent. Little cool spot off eastern Florida though, but in general looking very good. Caribbean quite decent, 30 degrees. Little cool spot south of Haiti. Western Pacific extremely warm waters off the southwestern part of Japan, actually near Kyushu. Temperatures up to 32 degrees, some of the warmest in the basin. And across the rest of the Western Pacific, really warm temperatures all around. For Maria looking good too, 28 degrees plus. North Indian Ocean looking quite alright as well. Western part of the Bay of Bengal has the highest temperatures there, pushing close to 29 to 30 degrees C. Compared to normal, it's well above average across large swathes of the Atlantic Ocean subtropical zone. In particular, they're up to 4 degrees above average over large areas. Eastern Pacific is a little bit hit and miss actually now, a few hot spots, but one or two cool little areas too, mainly after those recent storms. Western Pacific, a little area of quiet for Maria, but ahead of it, extremely warm temperatures up to landfall in Japan, possibly 5 degrees above the normal. Oceanic heat content also looking good in the Western Pacific, a big area there uninterrupted across the Philippine Sea. One or two little areas near Japan for Maria, but in general oceanic heat content won't be too crazy there. Eastern Pacific also slackening up too over there, dropping in most areas. Atlantic though still has tons of energy across the Caribbean Sea, really got to watch out for that, as well as that system of course which is on its way in. If it does deviate south then we could be in for a bit of a problem. Further north though into the Western Atlantic also decent values there, not quite as high though. So this is what the GFS has in store for the next 5 days. You can see what's left of Debby moving across the North Atlantic there. Could just about affect the British Isles next week. And there is that next system, that 70%, moving just south of Puerto Rico as a Category 1 hurricane on that model run. This is within 5 days, but there is quite a discrepancy between models on where the storm will form, how fast it will move as a tropical wave, and then of course that will influence its later track, whether it goes towards the United States or whether it safely recurves away. Here's Japan, this Typhoon Maria, borderline typhoon landfall there in eastern Honshu. Rare location for a landfall, only about 3 storms have done it in recent history. Then another system moving quite up close to it, that's that first 40% system that we're watching that starts off way out east. Actually it's the second one, there's another one forming behind it there, so 2 systems and then maybe a third one there, that other 40% just towards the bottom left. And this is the southwest Indian Ocean, just south of the equator, not far away, about 3 or 4 degrees south. We start to see the development of this system. It's backed up slightly by the European model, which for the first time is showing a disturbance, and the CMC model also has it becoming a tropical cyclone. This is the strongest run so far from the GFS, and you'll see more of it in the medium range, but there it is within 5 days developing into a tropical storm. Rainfall expectations for Japan still quite high, but not as high as what we've been looking at in earlier model runs. So the rainfall is turning itself down. Of course, the landfall expectation as well has gotten further north, so it's further away from Tokyo, and of course the very large conurbations there. Of course, the Sendai region, that's a significant city as well. All that area getting up to about 7 inches, maybe 8 inches of rainfall. That's 200 millimeters. But for the Tokyo region right now, it looks like they'll barely get to 1 or 2 inches according to this latest forecast. So let's take a look at the medium range. First of all, this Atlantic storm, which pushes through the Dominican Republic, then the Turks and Caicos Islands, then it's turning north, continuing north towards Bermuda, but then it gets shut off and turns a little bit northwestwards again towards the end of that run. So it is making the northeast look a little bit uncomfortable in those latest frames there. Within that 10-day period, a substantial hurricane, reminding me of Maria's later phase, actually, ironically, the 2017 one, of course not with the earlier part of it, of course. And then in the later run in the Western Pacific, then you can see those systems continuing. You just saw the end of Maria there, and then that third system that was going to form becoming a substantial typhoon there and heading up towards the west coast of South Korea now. If you remember last night's tropical weather bulletin, this was all saying something much different for the model run for these systems, so of course it is still really liable to change. Southwest Indian Ocean, like I said, the GFS has its strongest run yet for this system, which of course would be well out of bounds in terms of the seasonal expectations. They can happen at this time of year, but it is very rare. There it is, moving southwestwards, actually makes decent progress as a tropical storm, and quite a broad one as well. Could it even head towards Mauritius? Well, not sure at the moment. I really don't think it would make it down there, but it is looking mighty impressive on that run. Scan the barcode and that will take you through to the Force 13 merch store, where you can take a look at all our products as well as our full season and individual storm animations. And we are still waiting for Hone. Oh joy. Well, once again, it is still not forthcoming. In the Scilly range then, we watch the continuation of that powerful hurricane just about reaching Cape Cod there with hurricane force winds, then through Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, out over the North Atlantic. Some strong winds continuing eastwards there, affecting Ireland and the United Kingdom, then moving off towards the northeast. There might be another little system there as well, maybe subtropical, that tries to develop there to the south of the system. This potential storm doesn't look like it gets very far at all though. So something to watch. Long range in the Western Pacific, that typhoon really shovels itself into South Korea, near Seoul actually, the capital, so another potential big population in danger if that was to come true. Still a very long way out, it's over 10 days away. There's another little system that tries to develop at the end there, at very high latitude, and of course the system that, to the east that was already active was one of the, I think the second system in the middle that has the 50% chance of development. Ooh, what a crazy ride we're in for there in the Western Pacific. And continuation of that southwest Indian Ocean system, but look north, a system there off India as well, Arabian Sea storm there, that's a tropical storm, and then it's hugging the coast of India not far from Mumbai, and actually dies off and shrivels up and moves inland in the end. So both of those active, that's in day 10 to day 16, so it's a long way away, around the 20th of August, and that storm in the southern hemisphere just about makes it to Madagascar. That would be really something incredible if anything like that was to occur. Well, what happened on this day? Of course, something completely different. It was Hurricane Belle, which was a powerful Category 2 storm that was ramming up towards the northeastern United States after peaking, I think, Category 3, maybe Category 4, I can't remember now. We also had Tropical Storm Gwen, which was under the shadow of Hyacinth, a Category 3 hurricane in the eastern Pacific. And Typhoon Billy had just passed through northern Taiwan, about to make its final landfall in China. On this day, many moons ago, 48 years. Back to today then, and this is our 964th Tropical Weather Bulletin in Force 13 history. The next name in the Atlantic is Ernesto, in the Eastern Pacific it's Gilbert, and in the Central Pacific we are indeed still waiting for Hone. 33 storms so far around the world. The Western Pacific's next name is Sontin. 4 out of 5 storms so far become typhoons. In the North Indian Ocean, our next name now is Asna. Could be on the way if you believe that super long range. And in the Southern Hemisphere, could it be the first early start to the Southwest Indian Ocean? Ansha is the first name this year, this upcoming season. The Australian region is Robin. In the South Pacific, the next name is Pitta. That's it for tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow night. Become an Ultimate Fan today.